Episode 7, Sacred Schools, Controlling Knowledge Through Faith. Knowledge is power, and in religion, knowledge has often been tightly controlled. Across faiths, literacy, access to texts, and interpretations were reserved for a select few, reinforcing hierarchy and shaping belief. To understand religion fully, we must examine not only the stories themselves, but who was allowed to read them, who interpreted them, and who was excluded. The control of knowledge is a central mechanism for shaping minds, guiding behavior, and preserving authority. In medieval Europe, the Catholic Church maintained a near monopoly on literacy and textual access. Latin was the language of the educated, the sacred, and the bureaucratic. The faithful were largely illiterate, relying on clergy to interpret scripture and transmit moral teachings. Sermons, catechisms, and visual storytelling in stained glass or frescoes simplified complex theology into narratives designed to instruct, inspire, and control. Ordinary believers received a filtered version of knowledge. Clergy determined which ideas would be amplified and which suppressed. System obedience became internalized, and deviation was minimized. This pattern was not unique to Christianity. In Islam, early instruction relied heavily on memorization and oral tradition. The Quran was preserved through recitation with written codices reserved for scholars and community leaders. Tafsir, the scholarly interpretations, were also limited to those with training in Arabic and jurisprudence. Ordinary members of the community were guided by those authorized to interpret the divine word, ensuring uniformity of belief and practice. Access to the full story was carefully mediated. Judaism provides another example. The Torah and Talmud contain layers of commentary accumulated over centuries. Mastery of these texts requires years of study under rabbinical guidance. Complex codes, linguistic nuance, and legal interpretations were often inaccessible to the uninitiated. Education in this system was stratified, and a few became interpreters, many became followers, and everyone internalized morality framed within authority. Hidden commentary preserved alternative ideas, but only elites could access them. Control of knowledge extended beyond texts. Religious instructions often prioritized memorization over critical inquiry. Questioning was discouraged or framed as dangerous. The faithful were taught not only what to believe, but how to believe it, reinforcing hierarchy and obedience. Knowledge itself became a tool of social engineering, shaping morality, guiding behavior, and aligning communities with institutional goals. Secret knowledge and esoteric teachings also played a role. Kabbalistic texts, Christian mystical writings, and Sufi esoterica preserved interpretations intended only for initiates. Numbers, symbols, and allegories encoded ethical, spiritual, or social guidance. The majority of believers experienced only the surface layer. This Tyred system of knowledge ensured that authority remained concentrated while granting initiates a sense of mastery and insight. Even in modern times, religious education continues to shape perception. Sunday schools, rasas, and yeshivas guide children into a framework of belief, morality, and social expectation. Curriculum choices, textbooks, and teacher authority subtly reinforce hierarchy and conformity. By controlling the narrative, institutions ensure continuity of belief and behavior across generations. The control of knowledge is also a mechanism for stability. Societies structured around hierarchical literacy and interpretations were predictable. Leaders could enforce moral, civic, and religious norms with minimal resistance. At the same time, this control discouraged exploration, critical inquiry, and alternative perspectives. Faithful individuals internalized not only theology but obedience, creating a self-reinforcing system of authority and social cohesion. Recognizing this mechanism changes our relationship to belief. It allows us to separate the value of spiritual insight from the influence of institutional control. We can ask, what do I know because I was taught? And what do I know because I investigated? Which interpretations are encouraged and which are discouraged? Awareness is the first step towards conscious engagement with faith and morality. In the next episode, we will examine how religion divides communities, enforces boundaries, and defines insiders versus outsiders. By understanding the systems that shape knowledge, we gain tools to analyze social cohesion and conflict, and to navigate belief consciously rather than passively.